with the misses. I thought that is where you're going to go in terms of changing an outcome,
No, he's the first person I ever drafted in fantasy football, so I can't do my guy like that.
He was the first person? You drafted a kicker first.
Yeah, I was like...
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upside alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That
is? Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
It's episode 42, still season 1 of Birds vs. Boys. We are a couple days away from the NFC and AFC championship game. I always love this time of year, but hate it at the same time because I always remember and say, oh, crap, there's only 3 football games left, and that depresses me. But you know what doesn't depress me? Aidan. How are you, Aidan?
Thanks for the great lead. I didn't think you were going that way when you were like, this time actually depresses me. I thought you were going to say you were going to make a Cowboys joke.
Oh, they depress me too.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to say, well, I haven't seen them play in a conference championship game in so long.
Yeah, that meme, Tom Brady's been in the NFC for 1 season and is in the conference championship game, and the Cowboys have been in the conference for the last 24 years and have 0 appearances.
That's where I thought you were going. But I still appreciate the lead, and I thought it was great. I'm doing well. How are you? You are well rested, I assume?
Yes, I enjoyed Florida Kevin, Florida Stanley was out. Was working down there, was blogging my butt off too. But it was nice to be able to, do it in 70-degree weather.
I think our lives have followed our football teams this week, if this makes sense. So follow where I'm going with this. So okay. Cowboys, yeah, are things perfect? No, nope. Far from it. But at least they're settled.
Yep.
You know what to expect. You can rest. You can take some time off and forget about it. You were in Florida. Are things great in this country right now? No, but you could rest. You could take some time off. You were in the Florida sun. Like, you could enjoy it. You could forget about things that were going on.
I didn't go clubbing. I just sat in my dad's pool in the backyard, chilled, relaxed.
You didn't engage, much like you're not engaging with the Cowboys at this time of year because, they're settled. They got Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator. Everything else is the same. Jerry Jones will be there till he dies. Everything's settled. You can just kind of rest, forget about it. Don't have to engage. Don't have to go out. Florida sun, just enjoy the time off.
Yep. The only thing that I'm worried may not be, and this actually connects to your team as well, is our offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, interviewing for the head coach position for your Philadelphia Eagles. And I know we're going to get into what you think of all the candidates, but I wanted to start there because obviously that's the biggest connection between the two of us. I don't think it's really realistic. I don't think he'll actually become the Eagles head coach. And a lot of Cowboys fans in Twitter land are like, why didn't Jerry just say no? He shouldn't let him interview because it's the Eagles. You can't withhold an interview from someone on your staff if the interview is for a promotion. Since he's an offensive coordinator and he's going for a head coach spot, they can't say no. If the Eagles wanted to interview him for the offensive coordinator position, Jerry Jones could have denied it. But because they wanted to interview him for the head coach, they couldn't say no. So I think you're in agreement with me that this is not a realistic choice. He's not going to be the Eagles' next head coach, I don't think. But what do you think about them turning that stone over and interviewing Kellen Moore?
Yeah, so I'm much more shocked that he didn't get the Boise State job or turned it down, or I don't know how it went, but he will not be the coach at Boise State. And I thought that was a surefire thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so over here in Philadelphia, it's been the total opposite. It's snow squalls. You have to worry about everything. It's ridiculous. And just like our football team, we have to worry about who's going to be the next head coach. Do I think it's Kellen Moore? No. Do I appreciate them turning over every rock just to make sure? Yeah, I'm fine with that. Interview 20 people as long as you're making sure that they're 20 qualified people and you think you have 20 possible candidates that could do the job and you want to make sure you get the best one. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they could steal anything from him, if they could get him to say things that could compromise this Cowboys offense sometime when they're playing them, why not?
Yeah, and that's one thing that you can do. He's also had success in the offense. He's had success with Dak Prescott, who is in his 4th or 5th year, same as Carson Wentz, which seems to be their big selling point.
Yep.
So I don't have any problem casting a wide net and interviewing a bunch of people. I'd much rather this than interviewing 2 people and then hiring a guy who lied to you in his interview, saying that he sat in a room and watched football and studied analytics for the entire year, and then came out in the press conference and said that he actually lied about that and then came out and had a losing record. So I'd much rather not have that happen.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm hoping I
know where I was going. At what point did you realize that I was doing the Cowboys thing? Very early?
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life. It's just she wakes, she walks.
She walks.
She wakes, she walks. And Jerry Jones is still there. I think Jerry Jones actually is the woman at the bottom of the lake.
Jerry Jones is the lady in the lake.
Yes,
he is what's haunting Bly Manor. He's haunting AT&T Stadium. Death came for him a long time ago in the 90s, and he just never left. And things have been haunted ever since.
Damn it. I'm actually dead.
You're actually dead. Yeah.
Oh,
you're just stuck in this moment in time.
We didn't give anything away.
If you haven't watched the show yet, but I mean, that's on you. It was a Halloween show. It's New Year's.
Oh, all right. So let's get into the actual candidates. I hope that they just give control to Howie Roseman completely and let him coach the team also. That's my hope.
Kill myself. I legitimately would not watch. I can barely watch now. I can barely stand him as a GM.
Well, so honestly, can you imagine if Jeffrey Lurie came out and be like, so Howie's going to just coach the team and run the GM, and he might even run the offense and the defense too. We're good. We're going to save some money on that end, and Howie's a genius.
Or they do something similar to that, similar to what they did last year with the offensive coordinator position. And instead of being like having an offensive coordinator, they're like, all right, we're just going to have all these co-coordinators. What if they were just like, all right, we can't find a head coach, so we're just going to have like 6 different guys and they're all going to be co-head coach.
And one of them's Brett Brown. It's like, what?
Yes, Brett Brown is back. But yeah, so I mean, to me, the coach doesn't matter as long as Howie Roseman is there, because you're just going to get the same outcome. It's just bad drafts that lead to bad talent on the field and the coach struggling because what is he supposed to do with this shit? Like we've said this thing, you and I, a million times, is when, what's the saying from Bill Parcells? It's the analogy with the ingredients in the kitchen. You know, like even the best chef, if you're giving him shit ingredients, it's not going to be a good meal.
Yeah, that's I always go back to the Bill Parcells. That's why he wanted to be able to buy the groceries. If you expect me to cook the meal, at least let me buy the groceries. And when you have someone buying groceries at the dollar store and you're supposed to be the chef of a Michelin star restaurant, the meal's not going to be right.
What are you going to do? Yeah, exactly. So let me just read some of everyone knows, but Jimmy Kempski put together a list of all the candidates, which was nice. So Josh McDaniels was, for a while, it really looked like
I thought that was it.
Like it was locked up, ready, and he was going to be announced. It's simmered, and they've interviewed since, which I thought was odd.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, they've interviewed Nick Sirianni from the Colts. Obvious connection there with Frank Reich. And then the other one, Eric Bieniemy, is one that's everyone's interested in. Joe Brady's still out there. Who else? They interviewed Todd Bowles, who is still out there, and Lincoln Riley, and then Deuce Staley are the last people left in the Hunger Games.
So before we talk about those guys, are there any coaches that have taken positions with other organizations already that you're disappointed are not going to be the head coach of the Eagles?
Robert Saleh, I think, is a leader of men. And Vince just told us in our ear, Robert Saleh as well. I think, one of the 49ers defense was incredible, and he was the defensive coordinator. So right there. Two, I think he does a great job, as I said, as a motivator of his players.
Yep.
And three, take one look at that guy. Howie Roseman is not telling that maniac who is enormous what to do. And I think that's what we need, is someone who's going to say, you are not getting away with this anymore. Like, you are a failure. You do not decide this outcome anymore for us.
I am
in charge.
I would love to see that on draft night if it was Saleh and like Howie's just in his little thing. I like this cornerback from Western Michigan at 6. He has very good analytics. And Saleh just walks in and he's like, Micah. He's like, no, Micah. Okay.
Yep. He just takes the card, rips it up, calls in, Micah, we're done. Thanks. See you in round 2.
Bye.
All right.
Was that Howie? Yes.
Yes. But yeah, just fuck you. We're taking Micah. We're done. Thanks for playing. But in a way, you do need somebody like that, because all these reports that come out are like, on draft night, the scouts are saying one thing, the front office is saying the other thing, the coaching staff is sold on one guy. It's complete turmoil. They just need somebody like Saleh to be like, I'm a coach. I want this player on my team.
Mm-hmm.
That is the end of the decision. Thank you all for your participation.
Otherwise, I will walk out of the door.
Yeah, go find another coach if not.
Yeah.
Or challenge me to a fight in which I will win.
On the 50-yard line.
On the 50-yard line of the Novacare complex, yeah.
Oh, it'd be great. But yeah, I would say that's probably the only one of the Dan Campbell. No, I think he could be good in Detroit, but I don't see him. He's another one of those guys where you don't want to fight. But he was rumored last year to be a connection with the Dallas Cowboys head coaching search, but again, they ended up interviewing 2 people. Marvin Lewis.
I've said every time I say it, it's just funny. And one of those was just to satisfy the Rooney Rule. So they really just interviewed one person.
Yes.
So the other thing that I think the Eric Bieniemy thing is tricky to me, because I think he keeps getting screwed over by how good the Chiefs are. Like, he wasn't allowed to interview this week, and now there's 2 positions left. I can see him being the Texans head coach for sure. Yes. But it's just one of those things where I think he'll be a good coach, but every time someone wants to take a look at him, they can't. Because, and then now I guess they changed the rule this week. We talk about the Rooney Rule. This is going to be the Eric Bieniemy rule. Like, we can't wait around for permission to interview this coach because his team is really good and he's the reason why they have so much success. Like, get the move on. You can interview him after the wild card round.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think a couple-hour interview is going to have Eric Bieniemy not be prepared or have his team prepared for the AFC Championship game this week.
No. And look, if this were that, or have you ever seen how college football functions? They don't even make it to the bowl game. Like, they only have to play 1 game, not a 4-game like playoff. And they just flat out, those coaches just leave. Like, it's just done. Imagine a chaos like that. But yeah, so I think there's going to be an Eric Bieniemy rule going forward. I don't see him coming here, but I could definitely see him being the Texans coach.
You think he becomes the Texans head coach? There's a much better chance Deshaun Watson stays there.
I think that's the exact reason.
Yeah.
If you're the Texans, you're like, okay, we have a franchise quarterback, which is the hardest thing in all of sports to find.
We already gave away everything else.
We gave away everything else. It's all we have left, but it's also the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rainy day fund. We lost all of our money except the cash we keep hidden away behind our bed. If you were in that position and he wasn't even speaking to you, let alone playing for you, don't you think you might bring in the guy that he would like to play for? Yes. I don't know.
Yes. Because if not, I mean, it's unbelievable already. Like, there's just rumors. Like, Adam Schefter will just put out like a teaser. He's like, sources say that they think Deshaun has played his last game in Houston. And then the internet just explodes. And I've seen more well, maybe Dak or Deshaun. And it's like, that's not even an option for Dallas, right? Just stop. Sean Watson's not going to be the quarterback of the Cowboys next year.
Everyone's getting Deshaun Watson trade
everyone-
packages. together. It's
Shiny new
hilarious.
toy.
My favorite is the ones for the Eagles where like Deshaun Watson is mad that he has no help. So that the Eagles are going to trade away all of their picks and their best players for Deshaun Watson so he can have even less help in Philadelphia. Like, somehow I don't think this is going to work.
And Carson Wentz, Miles Sanders, and 3 first-rounders. It's like, okay, what the fuck is he working with?
Yeah. Okay. So we're right back where we started, just with less picks. And he's even further down.
He's gone to the same team just in colder weather.
Yes. Now he lives in Philadelphia where the media is more hostile, and he'll have more 4:00 games where he can be scrutinized when he's throwing to Greg Ward every other play and John Hightower.
Oh, God. No.
Not a chance.
All right, let's get back to the coaches. So out of that list, talk to us.
My guy now that Salah's gone is Nick Sirianni from the Colts. I won't ever be able to pronounce his name correctly, but maybe that's a good thing.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of intrigue. So with the Colts, over the past few years, have they had stable quarterback play? No. Ever since Andrew Luck retired, they've had guys. Phillip Rivers at the end of his career, Jacoby Brissett. These are guys. Are they good? No. But the offense has still been efficient. And if Frank Reich believes in him, and Frank Reich is pretty much a demigod here in Philadelphia, then Sirianni's good for me. So I worry about Josh McDaniels. I understand the intrigue, but some of the stories like you hear online, nobody and I know they need a guy to fix the quarterback, but if the quarterbacks didn't want to play for him in the past, what's going to get these players to play for Josh McDaniels?
You think McDaniels comes, that's all of a sudden Carson's just going to want to change a heart? And nope, I don't see it. I don't see why Josh McDaniels being the savior of Carson Wentz wanting to stay.
No, I don't think so. But I'll tell you what, if Carson stays, it's kind of on him at this point. He is burned every week. And this last week, Jeff McClain put out another article. And, I think he's a really good writer. Some of the stuff I think gets very exaggerated. But the picture that's being painted of Carson Wentz, he's totally out of excuses. So it doesn't really matter who the quarterback guru is they bring in. He has to get along with him. Yes. It has to work. Carson has to do whatever is best. But with Josh McDaniels, I'd be way more worried about him. I could get over the Colts thing where he didn't take the job.
Mm-hmm.
But the Broncos, it
was a disaster.
It was a disaster.
And then he crawled back home to daddy.
Yeah. And he did well there, but he's with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And I do think he's really smart. I don't think it was just because Tom Brady was on the team. I think they ran a great offense, but I think being a head coach, to me, maybe it's more so in college, but to me, being the head coach is more about being able to delegate power to other guys and you just being a leader of men. Yes. 53 guys need to have your attention and you need to command them in a locker room.
And that's why I agree with you and why I love Saleh, because I feel like he's going to be that leader of men for the Jets, and he's going to put very, very good football minds in charge of the offense. And obviously he's going to have a big say in the defense, but he's going to be able to command the room every time he speaks. There's not going to be pussyfooting around during practice when Robert Saleh is in charge. It's just not going to happen.
And the other thing with Saleh, so okay, yeah, he's a defensive coach. He won't call plays. He won't work with the quarterback. Does that mean that Sam Darnold or Justin Fields or Deshaun Watson won't work out in New York? No, not if they get talent around them. He can bring somebody in, a quarterback's coach and an offensive coordinator, to work with them. The Eagles are so gung-ho on the head coach being the offensive czar who calls the plays, scripts the offense, everything like that. And I don't think it's needed, honestly.
And I think that's why they interviewed Kellen Moore too.
Yeah,
because they love that. He's
Yeah,
the void. They call him in Dallas.
Yeah, they're just looking for brilliant offensive minds, which I think you can find. And Joe Brady's another one. Like, I love these guys, but as head coaches, what are they going to do? They're almost perfectly positioned in where they're at as offensive coordinators because they work with one thing. They make sure your most important piece, the quarterback, works, and two, the offense is scripted and creative.
Yep. Yeah, not everybody's a head coach, and there's nothing wrong with being a very good coordinator.
I know, yeah. Like, these guys, like Josh McDaniels, I think is a very good offense coordinator. He brought up Kellen Moore. Joe Brady, we'll see. Like, he could end up being a good coach, but he doesn't have any head coaching experience.
Oh, Kellen
Now,
Moore
the one guy
for the Dallas
Kellen
Cowboys.
Moore will be a head coach. Yes.
He will be the Cowboys' next head coach. Write it down. Fucking tattoo it on yourself. It's happening.
And the other name we don't bring up is Deuce Staley. And I just like, when does he go? You know, like if you're not going to give him the job every single time, how long does he last here? But here's another thing is no one else is requesting to interview him. It's not like the Texans are like, all right, we're interested in Deuce Staley to be the coach. So I don't know. It's just interesting how that dynamic works.
It's crazy how many former players from the Eagles coming out on his behalf on Twitter, just campaigning for him to get the job.
And so that's actually funny you bring that up because I wanted to bring that up. So like current players bringing up wanting Deuce to get a chance. And, you know, I would take that into consideration if 47 of the 53 players need to be cut. If it weren't for salary implications, I would get rid of about 47 of the 53 players on this team. And in the next 3 years, what's that? Former players?
Former players weren't Freddie Mitchell that are campaigning.
Yes. Freddie's a friend of mine now.
I do like Freddie.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's like, yeah, I want the players to be happy, but also like you're the reason we're in this mess to begin with. So I don't know how much your word needs to be taken into consideration. Sorry. I respect Malcolm Jenkins, but some of these other guys, I don't know, man. Like you're kind of the reason why we need to coach in the first place.
That'd be funny if half those guys, Deuce gets the job and they're all excited, and the next day they get cut. They're like, what?
Wait,
what?
yeah. And Deuce comes in, he's like, well, you campaigned for me. It's not because I liked you.
You suck.
Yeah, I didn't think you were talented, but thanks for the resume booster.
See you later.
So one last name, and then we can get off the Eagles coaching staff. But the one name that I did not bring up in any of this is Lincoln Riley, and I would keep an eye on it. What's the biggest thing? We're both big college football guys.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest thing in college football? Recruiting.
Yep.
Okay. Well, he's not come out and say, I'm not interested in the Eagles job. I'm staying in Oklahoma. You know how they always do that? They'll put out the thing. Thank you for all your support. It's another year at Oklahoma. It's another year at Tennessee. I'm staying at Florida.
And all that is to keep their recruits coming in.
It's to keep the recruits. Texas is down there, just hired Sark. You know what he is saying in every single living room for every blue chip recruit from Texas to Arizona, all the way down in New Orleans and in Florida, everywhere. You know what he's saying. He's saying, Lincoln Riley, you can't trust him. He'll be gone. He'll be in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And Lincoln Riley's not coming out and saying, no, I'm not. You shyster, I'm going to be here. He's just not saying it. So I would keep an eye on it. Usually at this point, they've come out and said, hey, I'm staying in college. He hasn't done it yet.
I love it. I wanted Lincoln Riley last year for Dallas, and I just couldn't believe they didn't even entertain him.
Me neither. If they had Matt Rule and Lincoln Riley geographically close, and both of these guys end up being stud NFL coaches, I mean,
who have won more games recently in their home stadium than the Cowboys have.
That's true. It's very true. And they played each other. Big 12 title game last year. Rule and Lincoln Riley.
Exactly.
In that stadium.
They were right there.
I don't know. You can't miss on that stuff. It's not like there's any accountability as if someone's going to get fired for it, but kind of reap what you sell,
Yep. So who do you honestly believe? Who do you believe it's going to be, and how long do you think it's going to take?
It's going to take some time. I think they're going to sift it out. I think Sirianni is the dark horse. Maybe I'm saying his name right. I don't know. Like something about Lincoln Riley is just sticking in my brain. I don't know. I would like Sirianni. I think I could get behind that. I also want someone low key, doesn't take shit, and can run in the offense. That'll be fine with me.
It's going to be Howie.
That'll be how, yeah. Offensive coordinator, co-coordinator. He'll be like LeBron in Space Jam 2.
He's everything.
Everything, yeah.
Cowboys, real quick, just a funny thing that I mentioned last week, and I have seen nonstop of it since. What did I say was going to happen immediately once they hired Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator?
Earl Thomas.
It's everywhere. Should Dan go after Earl? Is Earl coming? And then there was the story that something happened on Christmas with his wife, and he drunkenly attacked her. Can we just? It's time to move on. Move forward.
Just draft the safety, and I think you could be okay.
Haven't drafted a safety in a premier position in the draft since Woodson.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Xavier McKinney was there at 17. I genuinely do not remember.
Last year?
You might not. Yeah.
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 I think he was. Because didn't he go early second?
Did he?
He was the first safety off the board, right? And then Grant Delpit?
I believe so. He is. Wait, no. Yeah. He went to the Giants at pick 36.
Yeah. So no safeties went in the first round last year.
Yeah. So I guess he was kind of no man's land because you guys weren't making it to 30.
Yep. Yeah. So, but I mean, it is what it is. I knew that was coming, and it's just that's any fan base. Like we always say, the new shiny toy, the old shiny toy. It's just anytime there's a connection,
never changes.
Nope.
Like one other thing. Let's get into around the NFL. We can start with that. Phillip Rivers is retiring. So that speaking of connections, we've got Carson Wentz to the Colts back in the headlines because of that news that Phillip Rivers is retiring. Thank you to Phillip Rivers for every 4:00 game where we fell asleep on the couch, woke up in the third quarter. He was behind by 17 and just chucking it all over the field
and screaming
screaming at his receivers, at the referees, at himself, everybody, at his kids. He played the Broncos no less than 6,000 times, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So thank you for everything. From the bottom of our heart, you didn't really win that. I mean, regular season success. Yeah, no playoff success, but I still had a great time watching him. He was one of a kind for sure. And still one of the most one-of-a-kind releases. I still don't understand how he throws a football that way. And to do it, just a weird release that looked inefficient, but did it well for 17 years. Blows my mind. And now he'll go down to Alabama, I believe, and be the head coach of a high school football team. I could see him being the NC State head coach in about less than 3 years. Ooh. That's like the rumors of Jason Witten becoming the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. More around the NFL news. So Tennessee firing their coach. They did a self-investigation, just giving bags of cash in a McDonald's bag. Just when they bring NCAA 14 back, which I believe they will soon because you were able to profit off your likeness pretty soon. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a feature where you could commit recruiting violations, and there's like, all right, 5% chance you get caught. Tennessee, 75% you get caught because you're just handing out cash in a McDonald's bag. Unbelievable. Like, what are you doing? It's ridiculous. It's hilarious, though. I find Tennessee is just as a disaster as a team. But well. And I think if they hire Jason Witten to be the head coach, that would be a disaster as well. I love Jason Witten, but I mean, how you just all of a sudden just going to take an NFL tight end and just throw? He has no coaching experience at all. At least let the guy be a tight ends coach somewhere for a year, or help as a co-offensive coordinator or something. You can't all of a sudden go from playing 18, 17 years in the NFL as a tight end, and then all of a sudden just going back to your alma mater and being thrown into the SEC as a head coach. Yeah, I don't see it. It's kind of the same as when they threw him in the booth.
Yeah.
And he had no experience, so he looked like he had no experience. I can see the head coaching gig going the same way.
They made him wear a rug on his head. All of a sudden, he had hair. It's like, what just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. And I love, like I said, I love Whitman. I don't want to see him all of a sudden get that job, and after 4 seasons and 3 wins, he's out of there and disgraced now at his alma mater.
Yeah, no, Tennessee hates him despite being like one of the greatest of all time to come from that school.
Yep.
All right, you want to get into teams that are good?
Yeah. Let's talk NFC and AFC championship games. So we're recording this. It's Wednesday night. You're probably listening to it on Thursday. In our pre-show meeting, kind of forgot about who played who and what happened in the games. You know, Saturday and Sunday, I feel like they were miles ago. But this weekend, Sunday at 3:05. So we have no football on Saturday. I love football, NFL playoffs when it's Saturday, Sunday. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So 3:05, I have the NFC Championship matchup that I wanted from the beginning of these playoffs. Tom Brady and the Bucs traveling to Lambeau to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at 3:05. Green Bay opens up their 3-point favorite. I love this game. I think the Bucs have a chance in this game, but Aaron Rodgers is just on a different level right now.
I was supposed to say, I have a futurist bet in actually from a few weeks ago of Devontae Adams winning NFC Championship Player of the Game.
Let's go.
So I have no choice but to stand the Packers this week. I've been talking about Packers Chiefs in the Super Bowl for weeks, if not months. So I mean, Tom Brady doesn't lose many championship games. We know this, but I just don't see them pulling this off in Lambeau. To be honest with you.
No, I don't at all. Like I said, Rodgers is playing on a different level. It seems Devontae Adams is playing at a different level. That defense, I feel like, is very underrated as well. They're playing hard. They're playing tough. And even with 8,000, 10,000 fans there in Lambeau, it still sounded loud. And you still have, that atmosphere there and that home field advantage in Lambeau.
It looked like so much more, but I think it's just because they have a smaller stadium. I was like, wait, why is your stadium full? Like, what are you doing? Did you guys forget?
Yes, they just didn't care. They're like, you know what? When I was in Florida, so we went to the beach in Fort Lauderdale on Saturday, and it was crowded with 3 types of people: Ohio State fans, Alabama fans, and Green Bay Packer fans. Because the Miami, which was on 25 minutes away, 30 minutes away. So I think a lot of people came down and either stayed in Fort Lauderdale or blah, blah, blah. And then just a ton of Packers fans on the beach. And like they were very Wisconsin-y people, so they didn't have bathing suits on. Like there was one guy that had black jean shorts on with a belt, with a tucked in Packers shirt on, a Packers mask, and a Packers cheese head sitting on the beach.
On the beach?
On the beach.
Wow. That is the most Wisconsin thing that I've ever heard in my entire life.
And he had shoes and socks on too.
Oh, gross. Come on, man. You're better than that. We're all better than that.
Why are you on the beach?
Yeah. Like, why?
But I was like, ooh, is this guy going to give the Packers bad luck? But no, I don't think anything right now can maybe Tom Brady, but I still don't think it's going to happen.
Neither do I. I don't think so at all.
So we're both going Packers in this game. So we both think Packers in the Super Bowl. Yeah,
for sure. And hopefully Devontae Adams is player of the game.
I'm rooting for you on this one. So then we travel over to the AFC. 6:40. Bills travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are also a 3-point favorite at home. Patrick Mahomes is still in concussion protocol. I don't see a way they play this game without him. But I really do hope the NFL does the right thing here and there aren't fudgy things going on. I wanted to ask you before we get into that game, what did you think of Colin Cowherd's rant this week that the NFL should just delay this game as long as they need to for Patrick Mahomes to be ready to play in it?
I get where he's coming from, but there's no coming back from that. You know, if you catered that much to one player when everyone is already getting the sense that you do cater to that player, I don't know. There's just no coming back if they were to do that.
Agreed. I totally get what he's saying and why he's saying it. And he's also saying it to make headlines, but you want to talk about the Sixers?
No. Yep. Ignore me. I am paying attention.
The patented Aidan looking
It's
over.
not every day. Like, all right, I'm very much paying attention, but Furkan Korkmaz just did a reverse dunk on a guy for an and one, and it's not like you see that every day.
No.
You'll see the highlight. It's not every day that Furkan Korkmaz does that. So I am paying attention, though. I agree with you, and I think I like Colin in terms of like hot take guys.
Yeah, he's
where he's
best out of all of them.
I think
Tolerable.
Tolerable is a good way to put it. Tolerable is the best thing he can be when you're one of those hot take analyst guys. I get it. Seems like a take that he would have, but it's unrealistic to ever happen because you can't cater that much to one player.
Cannot. So let's say, do you think Mahomes will be ready?
That'll be good.
So we're both going to say Mahomes is going to play in this game. Give me your thoughts on the AFC Championship game in Kansas City.
I have been worried about the Chiefs for a while, not because of Mahomes being injured. I have felt for a while that they almost seemingly are going through the motions. They haven't been this unstoppable offense that you've seen for like that our eyes have been trained to see. I just think this is the game where the Bills could sneak up. I think the Bills could sneak up. I know Big Cat was talking about this week where like the Chiefs probably win. But if the Bills come out and win this game and pull away in the second half, you're not going to be like, "Oh my God, this is shocking."
No.
I don't think that would shock. It wouldn't shock me. I don't know if it would shock other people, but it wouldn't shock me.
No, it wouldn't shock me at all. And we also were talking earlier that I think the Browns got screwed in that game. The play, the worst rule in football with the ball going out of the back of the end zone. And you losing possession and the defense getting the possession on the 20-yard line. And it was a helmet-to-helmet hit, too. It should have been a penalty, 1st and goal, if it wasn't a touchdown. But the Chiefs get the ball, they go down the field, and they kick a field goal before half. If the Browns score a touchdown there, it's a much different ball game. And then with Mahomes going out, I mean, Chad Henne played really well, and we're going to do our MVPs. So who knows if, he makes that list, but it's a different ball game if they score that touchdown there. So yes, the Browns were in that game, and the Chiefs, like you said, they do look like they're walking through the motions. They really do. They feel like those guys, they just feel like they can just do whatever they got to do, and they can just turn it on whenever they want, like they did how many times last year in the playoffs?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't always work. Every time I look, someone's getting dunked on in this game. Sorry, just it's happening and it's insane. But just don't be shocked. Don't be shocked.
I would not be shocked.
It's very dangerous when you play that. Okay, we'll just turn it on now because eventually you're going to run into a team who's good enough, like the Bills, where you're not going to have time to turn it on. And you're already going to be in the deficit.
If they're just fucking around. And they're like, all right, we're going to try and turn it on now. The Bills are just going to punch them in the fucking face. That's just who the Bills are. And
would you? Continue with your point because I'm going to lead into our next.
They're just going to punch them in the fucking mouth.
Well, I think we should do our NFL BVB MVPs of the week now because I think some of the people that we have mentioned are going to pop up right now, and the Bills defense is one of them.
Agreed. All right. Let's bring producer Vince in. I'll be the bottom of the triangle as always. TikTok star.
Hello, Vince.
Hello.
The people do not like serious Vince on TikTok.
Well, got bad news for you. He's back.
Oh, no. They're going to be so disappointed.
And he's gone. We don't accept serious Vince on this show. All right, let's. We're gonna do 3, correct, guys? 3
Yes.
MVPs.
3.
Okay, we'll go from 3 down to 1. I don't have this written down today. I'm going off the top of my head, off the cuff here of what I remember from these games.
Okay, that's fair.
Well-
I kind of like it that way. I shouldn't have wrote mine down. I should have done off the cuff like you.
All right. So I'll
All
let
right.
you go.
You want me to go first? All right. So I have Teron Johnson of the Bills, who had the pick 6. We talked last week about how there were no like iconic moments or really just captivating moments from the first week, and we were waiting on it in the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a Bills fan, like if you win this week, that pick 6 is probably in your lore for the rest of your franchise's history. So he was my number 3.
You know who he was, right? From the combine.
Yes, I was also going to mention that too. Yeah.
He got
So-
hit right in the face.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're referring to, he in one of the drills where you look one way, catch the ball, look the other way, catch the ball, and it's really just like hand-eye coordination. He looked the wrong way, so the ball just smacked him upside the head. But he clearly knows how to catch now.
He does. Is it me or is it going to be Vince here?
You go.
I think you go because we have the Joker here at the end.
I'm going to take a flyer here, and I'm going to go Leonard Fournette. I think it was one of his best games he's played in a long time, and he was a big reason that the Bucs were able to play the type of game that they wanted to play. I mean, he had 63 yards on the ground, not that impressive, but he had 5 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. And it seemed like any time Brady needed to be bailed out, there was Fournette that he could dump the ball to, and he was getting positive yards. So he looked like LSU type Leonard Fournette and not Jaguar Leonard Fournette. And he looked like a very smart pickup for that team in that playoff game.
All right, so my number 3, and I'm sorry, I have to take it seriously again this week. I have Drew Brees' son. Drew Brees' son at number 3. He caught more touchdowns than Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, and all of Baltimore combined.
Not a single Eagles receiver can pull off the move that he did in the end zone. Not a
Also,
single
I think
one.
I think there's something to be said that like you get to go down on the field with your dad, and the best quarterback of all time is there, and you get one shot to catch a ball from him. I'm dropping that ball 10 out of 10 times. So
And
shout
you
out
know
to
the
that kid. Exactly. Like shout out to that kid for not crumbling under that. Like it's honestly a lot of pressure just to be chilling out there with Tom Brady. Like that's a drop
I
of
wish
a
he
ball.
spiked in his brother's face.
He high pointed it, mossed his brother, just it caught it. It was a dime from Brady. Just casual touchdown like that. It was awesome.
Can you imagine if he's like, Dad, why can't you throw like that?
That's mean. He had a
If you
million
do
broken
that, we
ribs.
win.
And apparently a torn rotator cuff and a torn plantar fasciitis in his foot all season.
Mhm. Wild stuff.
They don't got medicine down in Louisiana like they do out in I guess Tom's Florida, but
Just down.
Tom's
and
from
over.
California.
He doesn't have that TB12.
Nope. All right, Aidan, number 2.
My number 2, kind of hinting at the Drew Brees thing, the Bucs secondary. So I think they took over that game. They had 3 interceptions, and Michael Thomas had 0 catches. I know Michael Thomas had surgery on every body part possible, but I think the Bucs secondary completely won that game. They forced turnovers. They'll need it this week, but yeah, Bucs secondary as a unit is my number 2.
So I was going to go that way just because of that. I feel like in the second half of watching that game, every time Drew Brees went back to throw a pass, I thought it was going to get picked. Just every time. And there was a point where I think he threw like 3 interceptions out of like 5 passes or something. It was unbelievable. But since you went there, I'm going to go Tom Brady. I had Leonard Fournette on there, so I'm going 2 Bucs players. But I mean, he didn't have his best game ever. He only threw for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns. But there was, once the first quarter was kind of gone, I just felt like he just was not going to lose that game, and he was just in full command the whole time.
I felt that way as well.
Number two, I have Bills Mafia. They showed up. Were you watching the game?
Yeah.
either. It was so Kevin, you're lying. That was such a loud.
I was sitting outside watching it in the
All right,
Florida sun. Thank you.
So if you couldn't hear it outside at whatever bar you were at, it sounded like there were about 4 million people in that stadium. So I've taken the responsibility of creating a conversion chart for Bills Mafia. So one member of Bills Mafia equals 750 fans of most teams and 3,000 Chargers fans.
3,000 Chargers fans. Are there 3,000 Chargers fans?
No. Nope. All of the Chargers fans.
All of the Chargers fans equals one Bills Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
One member of Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Funny story. So I was in Atlantic City this weekend. I was at a sports book watching. So they had the Sixers game on one TV and the Bills game on the other. During the pick six, it was crunch time of the Sixers game. So I was doing exactly what I'm doing in this podcast, where I'm looking at not the main thing, but the screen to the side. I'm like, oh my God. And everyone else is paying attention to the main screen. I'm the only idiot looking off to the other one.
Did you have to wear a mask in there the whole time?
Yeah. I'm safe. I also wasn't around a lot of. I didn't sit
That's
down.
perfect. I'm the same way.
Yeah. So I hope I'm clean. But yeah, so I kept the mask on. But yeah, I was watching both at the same time. It was just really funny because I do the same thing here. So my number one, it's hard not to say this one, but I have Chad Henne just because you could feel the way that game was going. Like as soon as Mahomes got up and didn't know what his name was and looked like a zombie, you had to think. If you're a Browns fan, I think everyone was, and Tony Romo said it as well. Like the momentum flipped like that. He saved the day. I mean, when you have a Super Bowl run, everybody has that one play where you're like, if we don't have that play, we do not win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
For the Eagles, it's the Torrey Smith off the knee. For the Chiefs this year, if they win, it's the Chad Henne run on third down for about 17 yards on 3rd and 17.
And he just dove, just gave his whole life for it.
Gave his whole body for it.
Which made it even better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going pretty.
Real quick. Speaking of concussions, I forgot to bring up that Bills Mafia is doing that thing that Bills Mafia does where they all donate to charities of other quarterbacks because Lamar gets a clock cleaned. So they're all donating $8 to charities that he supports, which I think it's so cool every time Bills Mafia does that. Because like any other team would be condescending. You know what I mean? If it was the fans of any other team, it'd be like these assholes. Like, but it's them. It's Bills Mafia, so you know it's legit.
Yeah,
I love it. Sure. And did you see they were out there at the airport too, taking pictures with Lamar? Bills Mafia he was signing autographs for him when they were leaving Buffalo. It's great. So I'm going pretty off here. I'm pretty boring. My number one is Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, he's on a mission. He's in control. He threw for 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 to 36. He makes Lazard look like a stud, which Lazard's a good receiver, but he makes him look great. He's on a different level. He's the MVP of this season, and he is my MVP of this week.
If he could make Devontae Adams look like a stud again and again and again this week, that would be fantastic for some of us. All right, Vince.
But also throw a couple picks. So
he doesn't win. Yeah, correct. Very true. Now, when you said Aaron Rodgers, Vince made a face. I think it was a little too normal for him. So, Vince, give us your number one because I can only imagine what's about to happen.
Yeah. So, like the point of most valuable players, the person that has the biggest outcome on the game, right? So, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have the biggest outcome of the weekend. Chad Henne doesn't even have the biggest forced outcome in that game. The person that forced the outcome in that game the most are the refs. So they have my number one in the MVPs this week. They had the biggest effect on any outcome of any game this week. If they don't make that miss that head-to-head call, Browns could win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to say Justin Tucker with the misses. I thought that is where you're going to go in terms of changing an outcome,
No, he's the first person I ever drafted in fantasy football, so I can't do my guy like that.
He was the first person? You drafted a kicker
first.
Yeah, I was like my first year. My first year of fantasy football, I was like, I need all the kickers.
Were you 8?
Vince, this explains so much with your TikToks. The fact that when you played fantasy football, your first instinct was to draft a kicker.
I mean,
least-
kicker is like you get 10 points out of a kicker every week. That's not insignificant.
It's
That's very
not
true.
significant.
If you lose by 9 and your kicker only got you 1 point, it is.
That's fair. I can't argue with that logic.
All right.
All
Those
right.
are the BVB MVPs for this week. Thank you, producer Vince. So it's championship weekend, and then we got nothing. Well, apparently we have the Pro Bowl celebration, and then the Super Bowl. So we have 3 football games left. We will be covering them all here on Birds vs. Boys, and then we're gonna dive deep into the draft. Hopefully by then you have a coach, and
Yeah.
you can then relax a little bit, refocus, recharge, and see what course your ship is going to sail.
I need a vacation. Jeez. I think this is the last show we do, though, where the Eagles don't have a coach.
Yes,
So
I
I think I know what topic we'll be talking about next week.
will be. But make sure you spread the word on us on Birds vs. Boys. If you've been listening all season and enjoying, let your friends know. Just because the title is Birds vs. Boys, we are a full NFL podcast. Full draft analysis will be all off season. So you could be a Bengals fan, you could be a Browns fan, you could be a Chargers fan, one of those 3,000 out there. Come listen. Enjoy. Follow us on Twitter. Birds vs. Boys pod. Branded_sports. Interact with us. You ever want a topic? Shoot us a little DM. Let us know what you want to talk about.
Lincoln Riley, if you're listening, see you soon.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it. Yep.
Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upside alert. Upside alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is
Dude,
gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That is?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.